I use this exact framework to close multi-billion-dollar deals. Now I'm giving it to you to close your next agency client. Most agency owners think getting meetings is the hard part. Then they get 20 meetings booked and close 0 deals, all because they have absolutely no sales process. After 15 years of managing Fortune 500 sales teams that close millions in revenue, I can tell you the difference between agencies that scale and agencies that struggle is not their fulfillment. It's their ability to close deals consistently. And closing a prospect who came to you from cold email versus referral or word of mouth is a completely different process. The psychology is different, the objections are different, and your approach just needs to be different. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 2-call close framework that we use to close 50% of our second meetings. That way you can do the same. So we've always used 2-call close in corporate America when we do B2B sales. Here's the exact framework we use. So first we're going to go over step by step steps we're going to take to close the deals. Then we're going to break those down a little further. And then I'm going to go over a script we made for e-commerce companies to get a basic foundation of how you can use it in your business. So first call is a discovery call. The whole point of the discovery call is simply you just want to build rapport, understand the problem. 99% of sales is, does this person have a problem and my business or solution fix that problem? And pitching your service as a solution to that problem. That is 99% of sales. If I don't say anything else on this call, that's the most important thing you need to take away. So first thing you want to do, and we'll just kind of scroll down as we go here. So Jake is my appointment setter. He sets appointments for me and I close those deals. That's the recommended way to go about these calls. If you are by yourself and the only salesperson, still follow this process. And when you're setting expectations, you need to review everything with the team instead of reviewing it maybe with the CEO or with somebody else. So the appointment setter, first 1 to 2 minutes are building rapport. Next one, you're framing the call. Third is you're doing discovery. This should take about 10 minutes here. Common issue I see going on with other agencies is they spend about 2 to 3 minutes here. Transition to the strategy call. Says 5 to 7 minutes. Transparently, our calls are probably 15 to 20 minutes. We probably spend a little more time on rapport, probably more time on, framing and authority and discovery. We usually got 15 to 20 minutes into the call at this point. Then you're going to transition to the strategy call where you're trying to book the strategy call there and you do that live. And then you're going to set expectations for what to review on the next call. Maybe they need something for the next call as well. You can set expectations there. So the second step is the closer. They're going to, again, build rapport, bring things up. Did they talk about their kids last time? Did they talk about an event they went to? Did they talk about a deal they might close? Bring that up on this part of the call. And then you're going to want to frame the call again on steps you're going to take on the call. Now I'll explain why that's important. Do a deeper dive of discovery here and then transition to the pitch. And the pitch should be tied to the problem you found here. Again, 90% of sales is literally, do they have a problem? And does my solution or business fix that problem? Then you're going to go over ROI and summary and then pricing and investment. So let's do a deeper dive into that and details on each single one. So first one, so we're building rapport. The goal of this is get them to talk. You want to get them to get their guard down. Second part, frame step by step. People like to know what to expect, whether it's on a sales call, what they're doing that evening. People like to know what to expect. It reduces stress. It reduces anxiety. The next part of this call, you are building credibility. Before I do discovery, and most salespeople will tell you to do discovery after you build rapport. I disagree with that completely, specifically with a cold prospect. They don't know you. They haven't really done a lot of research on you. They didn't find you. So you want to use this second part, not only to go over the steps, but to build some credibility as well. So for the next part, we're going to do some discovery. The point of this, again, I'll say it again because it's that important. The goal of the call is to find the pain point. Where I mostly see either agencies go wrong at this point is they don't find the pain point because they didn't ask specific questions or related to the pain point, or it was way too surface level and they got to the pain point, but it didn't really get to the specifics on why it's a pain point. And again, to reiterate, if you do not find the pain point at this point in the call, you typically struggle getting specific questions or you're not asking secondary questions. And I will give you so many examples of questions you can ask. Next, transition to the strategy call. Your goal of the appointment setting call is to 1, build rapport, 2, find a problem, 3, sell the next call. You want to sell the next call. Step 4, you want to transition to the strategy call. You're going to do a high level overview of how you operate, probably more social proof here. And if you had a client very similar to them, you're going to say, hey, we just worked with company X, got similar results, confident we can help you as well. Again, it's an appointment setting call. You're not going into specifics, but it's building up some more social proof, some more clout. Do not go over pricing. You can give high level little overview of pricing, but you do not go over pricing in this call. Pricing is custom. Pricing always custom to each client. Then you're going to transition to booking the next call, and you're going to do that live on the call. Book 2 to 3 days out. You're going to say something like, we want to review everything with our team to make sure we're confident we can get you results, something along the lines of that. We don't work with every client, so we want to make sure when I talk to the team that we are confident we can get you some results, things like that. And you want to set expectations. So if there's something they need on the call, things like that. This is when the closer comes in. Again, if you are a business owner and you're the only one closing deals, you can use this same framework, just you are the closer at that point. So again, you'll see a theme here. So the beginning of the call, rapport and framework. So we are building some rapport, connecting with them. We might bring up things from prior conversations, confirm numbers we saw from prior, and then we want a framework to call again. We want to go over specifics on what we're going to go over, things like that, and keep this kind of conversational. Then you're going to do a deeper discovery. So why do I do this again? The first call, there's not like a full amount of trust at that point with you. So maybe they don't open up as much as they could. Do a deeper dive on the problems, maybe get the specifics you didn't find out on the first call. If you're using an appointment setter, they probably didn't dig deep enough that you would like, or knowledgeable enough to maybe have a conversation around those points. And that goes into step 3. You want to transition. What kind of restate the goal, problem that they're facing. I like to kind of get permission, like mind if I go over some, a few different options of how we can help, something like that. So you want to just kind of find a natural way, and everybody's different, but how they transition to their pitch here. And the important part with the pitch is the solution to the problem and focusing on a return on investment for that problem. And then kind of at the end of that, you're kind of just tying in the overall impact you think you can have after that. Then I usually like to ask questions on, mind if I go over some pricing, things like that, and you're going to review some options. You should have 2 to 3 pricing options in general. Maybe you have your guaranteed version. We can guarantee results if we get you this. Then we have tier 2, tier 3. Tier 3 could even be more of a done with you service and consulting angle. Tier 2 is probably what you're going to close kind of thing. And tier 3 is if we had to guarantee results, this is what we would charge. And as an agency owner too, the specifics on that could also be related to ad spend and what they recommend you spend and potential return on investment. And as an agency owner, not every business is always profitable right away with the ad spend, but it can help them scale. So those could be also the difference in the pricing options. Or if you only have one pricing option, you do want to have, if deliverables change, the prices can change also. And that's another way to kind of look at the pricing options. Soft close. I don't believe in hard closing in B2B sales, just kind of like a soft close, answer any questions they have, handle any potential objections, and then close again. And you constantly kind of want to you're going to kind of keep them in that cycle, obviously handle objections as they come up. So for the third part, let's go over the specifics on literally a call script I would give an e-commerce agency on what they should do. So I'm going to be using Jake and I as the people for the call script here. So the setter, hey, it's Jake, VP of Sales or agency owner. How's your week going? Blah, blah, blah. Questions we like to use, like where are you located? Things like that. Then frame with authority. Gotcha. So here's how we typically do our calls. Ask a few questions, understand your business, what's working, what's not. Then kind of go over into some credibility here. You kind of see this here now. Right now, we work with our clients. We're managing over 40 plus million a month on Amazon right now. Everything we do is customized. So I'd like to learn more about your business. So this is a pretty good framework. If you have no framework on how to do this, kind of cut and copy paste your version of this here. Discovery, some basic discovery questions you want to ask. So where I think it gets important is you start high level, and you might know some of these from going on their Amazon page or their Amazon store or, their Shopify store or whatever. You might know some of these now. So keep this kind of conversational. What you really want to know are these kind of things. Do you have an agency running your Amazon account? How are they doing? And then when they tell you how they're doing, dig deeper. Why do you think it's not going so well? So dig deeper into that. Tell me more about that. Example, yeah, we have an agency now. It's not going very well, but we'd like to improve the results. What is not well? What's not going well about it? We haven't gotten sales. It really hasn't increased over the last few months. We're just looking, for a change. So it hasn't really increased the last 6 months. Is that on them? What do you think's the main issue there? Again, you're just kind of deep diving deep into the pain point there. And then additional questions you can ask that are related to their industry to get specifics. And again, your appointment setter, these are fine questions they can kind of ask to dig deeper into the pain point. And then you transition to the call right here. Awesome. I think we got a really good sense of where you're at. Is there anything else I should know? perfect. So based on what you told me, I think this is something we help it. We've helped company X, we've helped company Y, think something like that, and then book the call right then and there. Something I see agency owners struggle with this. They want to give pricing here. Clients ask about pricing. So you're kind of like handling those objections here for everything is customized. Then you kind of set expectations here. Again, with pricing, again, you're kind of just like dancing around it for lack of a better word. And then on the next call, Jake sent over the notes. It looks like you're doing this much in revenue. Ad spend correct. Sounds like sales are steady, but you're having issues with your ad efficiency. Tell me more, but so blah, blah, blah. And you might spend more time. I mean, I spend a lot more time on rapport than most people do. If you are good at connecting with people, I spend more time there. Then do deep discovery. So here's some additional questions you can kind of ask. You're trying to get, again, at the details of it. What I like to understand, you're trying to get a potential idea of return on investment. So how much money are they losing? How much money are they wasting? If we can improve those numbers, how much more money do they make? So that's really what you're trying to get at. So like as a cold email agency myself, questions we usually want to know is, outside of like appointments they're getting, we want to know their LTV. So a lifetime value of a client, if we book you 10 meetings and you close one of them, usually there's a return on investment if they close 1 out of 10 deals because their LTV is like 30, 40, 50,000. So it's kind of the same idea you're doing for as an Amazon agency. You're trying to get at their return on investment if they work with you and trying to pitch to that. Here's like an idea of a pitch that you see as well. Example, most accounts we are auditing are wasting 10 to 20% of their ad spend. We can recover you with 15% of your ad spend. That should get you, this much return, automatically, things like that. You're trying to sell to a specific service you can offer and the return on investment you can get. Ideally, before this call, you've done an audit as well, and that would help you get specifics on that. And that's usually because the discovery call is pretty good. And then you kind of go into ROI summary. And then once you do the ROI summary, so it seems like, example, like if we improve this, this, and this, we could, generate you this much more in revenue, 15,000 more a month in revenue. Does that seem fair? Any specific questions on that? They're like, yeah, questions or no questions. And then just go over, do you mind if I go over some pricing options? What you're doing is you're anchoring the price to, we can make you this much money and it only costs this. You're trying to anchor the price to make it seem lower for the value you're providing at this point. And then you kind of go about closing your deal. That's the step process we use internally. We're closing 50% of our second appointments on this. You're going to DQ some, like that's normal. But if you follow this framework, you should close anywhere from at least 10% of the deals you're closing on outbound. And again, second calls, at least 10% of the second calls, probably closer to like 20 to 30% should be closing. It does depend on your offer, your strategy, things like that, but this should help significantly improve your overall closure. The difference between agencies that book meetings and actually scale is having a sales process that works. Most people spend all their time crafting a perfect email and zero time developing their sales process. Then they wonder why their meetings aren't converting. When you start running your sales calls with a real framework, one that diagnoses a problem, builds trust, and quantifies their sale and their service with an ROI, their close rate's going to double. This is the same 2-call close framework I used at Fortune 500 companies, specifically designed to help agencies. Now, if you want to see how we create killer offers for agencies that prospects can't refuse for our e-commerce clients and how we can help you get qualified meetings on a performance-only basis where you only pay for results, then click the link below.